Anxiety and worry, and they are God-given abilities that are laying dormant within them, never get challenged. No new dreams, very few. Let's just go through the routines, get up in the morning, take the shower, get in the car, go to work, hang out with the same people, complain about what's wrong with everything, get in the car, come home, eat the dinner, have a beer, whiskey, a wine or something, okay, watch the television and see how the world's blowing up by the minute, and then go to sleep and let's start over again tomorrow. Now for most people, they just hide from that. They really don't want to think about it. But guess who's winning that game? Time. Time, the one asset that God gave all of us absolutely equally. Time. And if you were to monitor your use of time as it relates to where you are in life financially, you would wake up real fast knowing how much of it you're wasting that could produce incredible results for you financially and personally. So why is it that that's such a common malady with most people? You have not been trained how to win and grow. And the reason is we all underestimate ourselves. We're never really pleased with ourselves. We're constantly thinking we're not as smart as, not as good looking as, not as tall as, not as short as, not built as well as. We are very, very seldom satisfied with who we are as an individual. Comparison, comparison, comparison. How can your flower grow when you're not the flower? You want to be everybody else or something else. Can't happen. Well, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about the most fundamental controlling factor in all of our lives. It's called self-image. How important is this? Well, the psychologists will tell you that you are controlled by what you believe about yourself to be true. That's called self-image. If you think you can, chances are you will attract the conditions to go after what it is you've declared. If you think you cannot, you will prove it. You see, you can't get away from this. In hypnotism, for example, when a hypnotist is successful, I'll just give you some examples to let you know the limit of our thinking based upon belief systems. They took a very strong football player and they put a pencil on a table. They hypnotized him, and when he was hypnotized, they told him he was incapable of picking up that pencil. He went to pick it up. Every muscle in his arm and everything was straining and straining. His face couldn't pick it up. Do you know why he couldn't pick it up? Because he was convinced of a new belief under hypnotism. And the belief overrode the strength he had because it couldn't do it. Because his mind said you can't do it. They took a weightlifter who could press over 400 pounds and told him he couldn't even lift the weights. Under hypnosis, he believed it under the hypnosis and couldn't do it no matter how hard he tried. Another experiment that has been done is they took 3 groups of boys shooting baskets, free throws, from the free throw line. The first group, they said you must practice 20 minutes a day for the next 3 weeks. Let's see how much you improve. The second group was told, don't do any practice. They measured all of them, their proficiency, the 3 groups when they started. The second group, they said, don't worry about it. We'll check you in 20 days or 21 days. The third group was told to practice in their minds. Are you listening? Practice in your minds, making free throws, and if you miss, making the correction in your mind to have made the shots. At the end of the 21 days, the first group improved by 24%. They were practicing 20 minutes a day, every day. They improved by 24%. The second group that was told you don't need to practice stayed exactly the same. Their measurement was the same. But interesting, the third group that didn't do any practicing but imagined 20 minutes a day shooting free throws, and if they missed, they thought about how they missed, concentration. That group improved 23% and never touched the basketball. Golfers have done it. So I want you to know we are all hypnotized by limited thinking. Because when you think you can't and you won't, no matter how hard you try. So how do we change this? You need to have a new assessment of who you are as a human being. In philosophy, in theology, in the ancient traditions, man is basically considered as a three-horse team. We are physical, we are emotional or mental, and we are spiritual. There are three elements here going. Now the body that we have is functioning through the brain, and the spirit is infused from the creative energy of the universe. Whoa, that's pretty cool. So people have faith and they don't have faith. Somebody asked me the other night while I was here, George, I'm not so sure that I believe in a God or a creator. What do you think about that? I said, it's real easy. An atheist is someone playing hide and go seek from themselves. Because you're already connected. You didn't get to vote on it. And when you find out, he said, because inspiration and all ideas are out in the earth, in the universe. And you open up, and you get connected to creative thinking. Well, how do you do that? How do you do that? Can you actually take advantage of infinite intelligence and tap in and get wisdom? You can if you want it. It's free if you want it. But guess what? When's the last time you may have ever even thought about it? See, if we don't get ourselves right, if we don't get the mechanics, the spiritual mechanics and the emotional mechanics that work in accordance with our nature as we are designed by our Creator, then we're going to just struggle and bump around through life and never really make our mark. But when we wake up and we say, who am I as a human being? Wow, I'm special. Every one of you are extremely special. Why'd you quit on you? Who convinced you you couldn't? You know who did that? You. Oh, how do we do that? Whose mind accepted the thoughts about you that created your self-image other than your mind? I don't care what they said. Who bought it? Are you listening? See, we buy a lot of false beliefs about ourselves that limit us. And we don't get the miracles that we really are. It's pretty simple to get on track. It's not always easy to stay on track because we have so many distractions and so many people who are so unaware, and we listen to them. They're our friends in many cases. We have a natural tendency to gravitate toward people who agree with us, socially, spiritually, and economically, yes or no? Why? We feel most comfortable because there's the least amount of comparison and challenge that's going to take place at that level. We're intimidated by people who are achievers, people who get things done. We think they're lucky. We think the rich are all crooked. I got news for you. I know a lot of rich people, and by golly, if they hadn't done what they done, a lot of people would never be walking into a factory to have a way to get their living, or having anything to do if they had to kind of create it themselves. It's a game. Without people who can achieve things and build things, the rest of us are in bad shape. So don't make money your enemy unconsciously. Don't make money evil. Money will never be evil. It's how you relate to it, how you use it. So now here we are. I want to change my self-image. Well, the first place you start is right now, you're okay. Get your okayness. Because where you are right now is where you are, yes or no? So you got to start with an acceptance of I'm okay now, and then look and say, oh, I've done a lot of wrong things, bad things, I think stupid, I made a lot of mistakes. You gotta let that go. Don't look for justification for your mistakes. You made them, they're done, they're over. You gotta move forward. The first thing you gotta do is forgive yourself for any of your mistakes and errors with the renewed attitude that I am going to now be everything that's potentially in me. I'm going to grow as a human being. So you turn your back on the past, because the past is very, very tricky. Whenever you think about the past, if you think about the past, say 100 times, I'll bet you 90% of those times are about something negative, something that should have happened, that didn't happen, something you lost, some mistake you made, somebody you hurt, you follow me? We spend most of our past thinking in the negative. Now, if that's the way we think over here, the first cousin to depression of that sort is anxiety and worry about the future. So they are first cousins. Depression, thinking bad, okay, and worrying about the future. Well, I love what Montaigne said, the philosopher, when he was asked near the end of his life, he spent most of his life worrying about things. And here's what he responded. He said, yes, most of my life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened. So, if you're a worrier, worry takes away your present experience of strength and progress. Worry doesn't work. Now, I'm going to give you a big secret here. You need to know, when you're working on your self-image and you want to change it, number one, it cannot be changed by motivation. Since it's built upon thoughts about yourself and your belief system, then you need, listen closely, new beliefs about yourself. When you get some new beliefs, then you have new building blocks for a better, more improved self-image. Well, how do I get new beliefs about myself? Easy. Start doing the things you've been afraid to do. Start stepping out of your comfort zone. Start reaching out to people. Start talking to people. Get out from underneath your shelter blanket and start living and exchanging and being alive with people. That's new for most people, isn't it? I'm shy. I'm shy. Unless you talk to your friend, you're not shy. You select where you're shy, yes or no? So you select where you feel comfortable. You're afraid. You're terrified of being rejected. Rejection is good for you. It'll humble your ego. It'll make you realize that you're not that important after all to everybody. And you'll get over it. So how do I go and make it happen? I got to have a new belief system in order to change my life. Why? The law of attraction. Like attracts like. Positive attracts positive. Negative attracts negative. You got it? There's a polarity going on all the time. Well, I got to change my method of thinking. Let me repeat. In order to change your life, you must change your method of thinking. Why? Because your method of thinking, every one of us has us exactly where we are as we sit here today in this auditorium. Our method of thinking. Whose thoughts but yours said, I'll take that job? Whose thoughts but yours that said, I'll marry this woman or this man? Whose thoughts was it that said, I'm going to have this career or that career? You're responsible for it. It's the way we create our lives. We create it through the nature and content and attitudes of mind. Dr. William James, the father of American psychology near the end of his life, said the greatest discovery of his generation, did you hear it? The greatest discovery. He wasn't talking about going to the moon. He wasn't talking about quantum physics, figuring things out. The greatest discovery of our generation is that a human being can alter the circumstances of their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Oh, doctor, that's deadly. Now, if you are inclined to think limited about yourself, we just saw what happens with hypnotized people. You see, they could have done what they thought they couldn't do when they were not hypnotized. Are you getting the point? They had a built-in limitation that wasn't true. And when they changed the belief under hypnotism, more power showed up. One young guy, weightlifter, they took a hand grip that measured the strength of his grip. He never got it over 100. Never got it over 100. He went under hypnosis, and the hypnotist told him he had much greater strength than 100. Handed it to him, 125. Now, could he have done 125 before he was hypnotized? Are you listening? Yes, he could have. So what do you think your limitations are? They're untrue. But as long as you hold them, you're just like the hypnotized subject. You will not be able to do it until you break through and have new beliefs. Don't put limits on yourself. Don't put limits. Play wide open. Life is just the moment you're in. It's not yesterday and it's not tomorrow. Those are little games we play. So we can do a lot of worrying about everything and be attached to a lot of stupid things. Life is now. It's the moment you're sitting in. And if it's going to change for you, since it comes from the nature of your thinking, then your thinking changes, your life will change. Let's say I want more money. How many of you would like more money? Do you want to know how to get more money? Picture I got a cup up here. Okay, 16-ounce cup. And in my mind, I want more money. The first thing I have to do is see that cup already full with the money. I have to see it full in my imagination. I have to lock on to that cup is full now. Then I surrender to doing what's required to fill it. Now, Gandhi said something that was really good as it relates to achievement. Listen closely, because this relates totally to what we're doing here in this business. If you start with a goal, with a vision, and you do not lose your vision, and you stay focused on your goal, when you start, even if you do not have the knowledge, you do not have the contacts, you do not have the money, if you do not quit and you maintain your dedication and focus, all of those things you need, people, money, will be attracted to you. If you can only get that and hang on to it. It is one of the most true statements I've ever seen. See, that's when you're connecting. That's when you've knocked and asked. And that's when the door is open, when you knock. Seek, you shall find. So the forces of the universe the universe is never out of anything. It's constantly giving. It's constantly giving. And we can take a whole bunch that we just leave on the table because we're lazy, we stop growing, we start complaining, and we can't win coming from that place. Somebody ought to tell you. You don't need to be conned anymore about quick fixes and doing things this way or that way. Surrender into what you want. See it as you start. I see success. I see success. If you take a piano player, when that piano player heard music, said, oh man, I love that. Well, what do you love? You love the finished product, yes? Because if you were not inspired by the quality of the music, you would not have been turned on. So that piano player focuses on the cup being full. It's their cup. Now, when they start, do they know how to play? Do they need a teacher? Do they need to practice? Do they need to be patient? All right, so they study 2 years and quit. Forget about it. Study 3 years and quit. Forget about it. The great ones don't quit until the cup is full. But when did they see the cup? The first time they got the vision, they said, that's it. That's me. I'm going up on that stage. I'm going up here. I'm going to be an SVP. So you have to understand that the way the mind works as an attractive magnet force, hear it, magnet, it's, sometimes I get so frustrated trying to get some of these points across that you would be amazed if you believed, like Dorothea Brand in her book, Wake Up and Live, she said, act as though it were impossible to fail and you will not. Think about that. Act as though it were impossible to fail and you shall not. Was that person's cup full in the beginning? Did they have it in possession? No, they had it here and they had it here, and that's the only way you're going to get it. Yes. Otherwise, you're going to ramble around with the same antique thinking of how you achieve things and leave the big lesson of how it's really done out. Wow. You mean, George, that if I get really serious and I declare what it is I want, I mean declare it, don't play around. Don't ever say, I want more money. Go work in a supermarket part-time and get some. I want more money. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I want to create more money. How is money created? It's created from service. It's created from coming up with something of service. This is the best business in the world, to be of service to your friends and your group. Be of service. Be a servant, not an enabler, a servant of passion for your people. And they will follow you. But they won't follow you if you're trying to get them to do things you no longer do. Or you hide and you ask them to do things and then see how hard they're working. Imagine being a general that says to the troops, charge, and you turn around and you say, where'd the general go? Say, he went that way. Are you going to go that way? You got to be your own general. You know, here's the magic of this business. In all the years, when you find 5 people that really see the vision, just 5 that you sponsor, that really see the vision, it's over. Those 5 will do incredible things for you. Now, did I say you're going to find the first one in the first year? The better you get, the more people will listen to you. Do you hear me? So the working on you as you're building your business is of critical import. You got to work on you. You got to take that TV and turn it off. You got to go to the library or go on the internet and get some good books and start filling this with new thinking, so you have new tools in the game so you can win. The cup is full. I'm going to do what it takes to get it there. Well, once I do that, the law of attraction lets me learn because I'm interested. I'm convinced. There's no room for doubt. I hear Greg many times talk about doubt and fear. There's no place in an achievement methodology where you're going to have doubt and fear. You got to just rush right through it. Now, I was talking to a group last night in a hotel, and they were talking about, you know, things that come up and so forth, and what do you do when that happens and this happens? And what the lesson was that, how many of you like rejection? It's good. I don't either. So we don't like rejection. So how do we deal with that? We make it okay. We make it okay. It's okay to reject me. Okay? It's okay. If you can make it okay, it won't bother you. Well, what's the principle? Watch. If I have something that I don't like about me, or I don't like to experience, that's resistance, right? I'm resisting it. Resisting, okay? This is what I don't like. To make it anything. Okay? See what's going on? Every time my mind is triggered, the emotion is triggered, rejection, rejection. Got it? Why? Because I have given power spiritually and mentally to the resistance to what I don't like. Oh, then George, what do I do? Oh, surrender. Surrender. Powerful. A surrendered being is one of the most powerful beings to ever step on the planet. Some of our greatest people were surrendered human beings. Well, what happens then? Here comes rejection, but I'm letting it be okay. I don't like it, but it's not going to stick to me anymore. So here comes rejection. Bye-bye. Here comes rejection. Bye-bye. Got it? I used to do all-day seminars on just emotions and how we use them. Emotions, servants or destroyers. Some of you may have that 2 CD training that I've done. Most emotions, servants or destroyers. You will see clearly how your emotions are mismanaged. And what are emotions? Emotions follow the nature of your thoughts. Your thoughts are interpretations of something happening in your life. So you have a thought. The thought evokes a feeling or an emotion. Those two cause you to have an attitude or a behavior. Those three over time form habits. That together forms your life, called the circumstance, called your life. There's your life. Change the thoughts, you're going to change the feelings. You change the thoughts and the feelings, you're going to change your choices and behaviors. Change those three, you have got to get different results. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to you, or am I going too fast? Now, no one can do that for you. You don't need to go to school forever to learn what I've just said to you. There's a place in every one of you that knows it's true, no matter how hard you try to fight it. Just be honest. You feel it. You know your thinking's got you where you're at. You know your attitudes have got you where you're at. You know your relationships are related to your attitudes, your moods, your thoughts. So I think it's kind of fun to be responsible for your life. It's kind of freeing in a way. But there's two things I always teach you must give up. You must give them up. The first one is excuses. Boy, are we masterful excuse givers. Just think about in your own life how many times you give an excuse that's not true. It's just your BS to get something past somebody else. But since everybody seems to do it so cleverly, I guess it's okay. What is it serving? It's chipping away at your character, which is your power. Your power. Every time you break your integrity, picture you got a chisel on your character and you're knocking off a big chip. Because you weren't born to be that way. You were born to be powerful and loving and caring. That's what you were born for. That's what the Creator had in mind for us. What the hell have we done since then? So I say, geez, I really do want to change my life. Well, I look at the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Now put it to the mind. Thought is a cause. What shows up is the effect of the thought. Cause, effect. I want this. thought. Effect, by getting it, but I could never get it if I didn't have the thought. I don't like Joe. Thought. Joe shows up, I show I don't like Joe. What was the cause of me not liking Joe? Joe or the thought I had of Joe? You got it? Two men sat behind prison bars. One saw mud, the other saw stars. The experience was identical for both of them. Yet their personal experience, mentally and spiritually, was completely different. One was down like this, and the other one was still making the best of it. Two twins were the sons of a very abusive alcoholic father. One went on to duplicate his father's life. He became a drunk, a bum, an abusive spouse, and he ended up in prison. The other one went on to be a great success, business success, family success, good children. The psychologist interviewed the both of them, went to the prison and said, how do you account for the life you have and what it's turned into? Here was his answer. What would you have become if your old man was a drunk and an abusive person? He left, went to the successful twin, asked the exact same question. Here was the answer. Well, sir, what would you have become if your father were a drunk and abusive? Interesting? So how we perceive in the mind is something happens, a behavior, an observation, okay? We don't know how fast things are going because we are interpreting what anything means in our experience by our previous tapes, influences, self-image, parents, grandparents, religion, teachers, bosses. There's an aggregate, a mammoth aggregate of what I call reality filters that every one of us has. So when we see the present moment, before we even decide what it is we're looking at, nanoseconds is influencing what we're observing. Therefore, I say to you, no two people have the same reality. This will be very helpful for you when you're recruiting. No two people, you may think you see it the same, but it's impossible. There's so many different shades into how you got an interpretation from him or her. Because the influences that are built into your past through experiences, emotional and mental, they're the filters, you hear it? They are the filters through which you are in the present interpreting thoughts and events in your life. So, wow. So if there's, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 people here, okay? No two people in this room will hear me the same. No two people. Interesting, huh? Yet how many people are up here? Just one. You'll have your own attitudes about what's going on. You'll have your own beliefs about what I'm teaching you. You'll have your own stuckness, not wanting to give up a losing game that you already know you're losing because it's too challenging. All those things are your creation. I'm not creating it, I'm just communicating to you. Are you getting the creative part of your own mind? Your own mind is making the reality of this event. Wow. Some of you will leave and never be the same. How do I know? I hear it all the time. A year later, 2 years later, I get an email or a letter, or I run into somebody at a conference and they come up and say, can I talk to you for a minute? Man, did you hit me that day? I left there saying enough is enough. I can see now where I've been off track. I'm going to get with the program. You have no idea how many people walk up on this stage that are no different than you or me or anybody else. We're just human beings. That's all we are. We're all in the same game. We just think we're not. I wrote a song about 2 years ago, and the chorus of the song was, the blood that runs within us knows nothing of our names, our colors or our creeds. It knows us as the same. The wars and evils of our age are products of our minds, thinking thoughts that justify but leave our spirits blind. So when we know now that we're creating it, how many of you would like to create a new life, a better life? Can I see your hands? Beautiful. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? You think there's another time to get it? You think there might be another time you'll hear it? This is our problem. We could be in the middle of changing for the better everything in our lives, and we'll go back to our lazy old habits by tomorrow. New Year's resolutions. Here's the research on New Year's resolutions. Within 30 days after New Year's Eve, within 30 days, 83% already broke it. So is it about, I'm pumped up, I'm pumped up, I'm pumped up? You're gonna lose. I'm changing my thinking. I'm changing my thinking. I'm changing my thinking. There's a winner in the making. Oh, am I excited? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I used to love to play ball against guys who got too excited, because I knew they were frail underneath. Because what happens when they get knocked down? Can they get back up? Some of the great generals, they had something like this to say. They said, I don't care how high a man gets. That doesn't tell me who he is. I want to work with the guy who's been knocked down and gets back up. That's who I want to work with. Now, in this business, you are going to encounter people who lie. You're going to maybe recruit people from time to time that don't have really good values. You may not know when you start. You're going to have people make promises they're going to break. You're going to have people say they're going to come to a meeting or a training and they'll give you a lie why they didn't come. You're going to have people start and they're going to go for a little while. They have no staying power. They never caught the vision of what really is possible, and they're going to quit and they're going to take their little game someplace else. I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Very, 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 very few make a difference in the new place they go. Because they're the same people. They have the same limitations. And when they reach their level of frustration and wherever they go, they're going to quit again. But the people who stay the course are the ones who take home the money. Because this is a simple business. It may be the third year that you find your first superstar. Are you going to say, oh, I'm sorry I stuck around? Or are you going to say, George told me this could happen. Damn, am I happy now. When that person in your organization goes out in the first month and because they know a lot of people, they're trustworthy, and when they speak, people listen, and they bring a half an army in your organization. Are you going to say, no, 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 I don't deserve it? Or are you going to say, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, finally, a home run? You need to do what you're asking other people to do in your organization before them. The greatest example a leader can do is walk in to the weekly meeting with their personal guest on their arm. That's example. Instead of looking around the room to see who brought people so that they can, spin their charm. They'll spin their charm with someone that they brought. And it'll be far more effective for the rep in your group to see your example. I'll tell you now, a malady, something that I've observed for many, many years. You need to be careful of it, especially you young people. Success is like a fair maiden, elusive, beautiful, sensual, and you look off in the distance, and what you don't know is the road to her altar of gifts is laden with obstacles. And so we start out, we become successful, we're young, we're energetic, we're all over the place, and we start building a nice check. Here's the kiss of death. Starting to boast, starting to think you're superior to your group, starting to walk around like a peacock with feathers, with your chest out that you are the deal. See, older people have a problem with that. They've been beat up enough to know maybe this time it's right for me. Young people don't know that yet. And they make a lot of mistakes as it comes to money and image. The image you want is humility. The image you want is I care that you win too. I really care that you win. See, that's a leader that belongs in this business. I love ACN for what it stands for. To me, the opportunity to make money is really secondary to the opportunity to change lives, to give people hope again, to give them new friends that care, to bring them to events that nurture and build them, so they go home as better people, better parents, better mothers, better fathers, better sisters and brothers, because they heard some things that nurture their spirit, which today, for most people, is starving. And it's the most fundamental, elemental, powerful part of who we are. Who we are. I oftentimes ask audiences when I used to do these seminars called Experience to Make a Difference, I would ask the audience, how many of you believe you have a soul? And almost everybody in the room would put their hand up, probably 99%. And since I'd been working with them all day, I'd say, what if I told you I don't believe you? I don't believe that you really believe you do. And I'd say, well, you should ask me why I have that belief. I say, I'll answer you. Because you don't live like you believe it. You don't live like you believe it. You don't live like you're already connected to wisdom. You just need to get your brain in right and open up with humility to want to know how to live better, become better, and it'll come to you, I guarantee it. So today, how many teachers do you have that are encouraging you to be the best human being you can be? Because the better human being you are, the greater leader you're going to be in an industry like this. Be real clear about that. So don't boast, be humble, be kind, and probably, most of all, be loving. Be loving. Light the world up with your smile. Love is the annealing cement of everything that works for the benefit of we human beings. When we are loving, we are truly alive. We are truly consistent with the true nature of to be human. When we are not loving, we create chaos in our environment. We create chaos in our relationships, chaos in our homes, chaos in our workplace, envy, jealousy. All of those are some of the most destructive emotions you can be stuck with. They are a curse blocking you. So forgive everybody who's ever hurt you or bothered you. Just get off it. You're carrying the gorilla around and they might be dancing at the disco. That's real smart. Not that you think there's justification, because you don't need it anymore. Make amends. Free your spirit and watch how you become different. Free it up. You see, when you walk in a room, a discerning eye will notice that you have either brightened the room by your presence or you have darkened the room by your presence. What is being observed? Your aura, your countenance is being observed. You can tell a loving person when you meet one. You don't need a PhD in psychiatry. You can tell a bitter person when you see them too, can't you? The scowls on their face, the suspicious looks as they move around. You can tell, but if you're one of them, you're at home. You can't tell anything. You think that's cool. Idiots hang around with idiots. Got it? Non-intelligent people take advice from people who don't know what the heck they're doing. Many times we select friends that are toxic. They're no good for us. They try to take our spirit away to their way of thinking. And who you hang with is who you are eventually. Don't think that isn't true. So be gracious, be kind, be loving. Be enthusiastic. Light up the world with your presence, because enthusiasm is the least expensive, most powerful cosmetic in the world, and it's free. I have one little exercise I'll share with you what I do in the morning. I try to get up most mornings as the sun is coming up. And I sit quietly outside, watch nature begin to move. Birds flying. Things I never took time for many years to appreciate and observe. I can do it now. And then I sit with gratitude as I look at the wonder of our playground, of our earth, of the water. And I notice, golly, that bird, look at them. They're kind of lucky in a way. They're lucky because they don't have to think about what they do. They're programmed. Their nature, by the divine creator, is to survive, eat to survive, and to have babies so they can keep the species going. That's it. Everything they do is programmed cause and effect. What a neat little deal. Then you can watch them and watch that effect, and you go, look at them, look at how they fly. Whoa, that thing was just sitting there, and it's over here. Look at, and you go, that bird gave us jet planes. You see? Everything we have has been gotten from creative intelligence, the imagination, the belief, the devotion, the dedication. There's a roadmap, and you can be on it. It is your choice, nobody else's. So I ask you to leave here, like I always will. Tonight, I want you to dance like nobody can see you. I want you to sing like nobody can hear you. And I want you